The views and opinions expressed by the guests or hosts of this program do not necessarily reflect those of Divine Mercy Radio, Incorporated.
From the studios of Catholic 540 AM, Divine Mercy Radio, this is Meet the Priest. There are over 120 active diocesan and religious order priests in our listening area. Meet the Priest gives you the chance to learn more about these dedicated and interesting people. Now, here's your host for Meet the Priest, Nicole Jungles.
Hello and welcome to Meet the Priest on Catholic 540 AM Divine Mercy Radio. Here we present you with the opportunity to meet and learn about the devout men in and around our diocese, and they have such an amazing impact on our lives as Catholics. I'm your host, Nicole Jungles, and today we have an exciting guest joining us, Father John Curran, who is the active chaplain at NC State University in Raleigh. So welcome, Father. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. It's a joy.
Awesome. So let's chat a little bit about what you currently do at NC State. I know that we previously had one of the former chaplains on, Father Josh West. He was here a while back. I didn't interview him, but I know we had a great interview with him. So tell us about what's going on at NC State right now.
Well, at NC State, I'm trying to fill in Father Joshua's big shoes. And it's just a beautiful ministry to the students who graduates, a group graduate every year and move on to do beautiful things for God and others. And then there's a group of permanent parishioners there as well that have been around for a long time just supporting everyone. So, we have the daily masses there on campus. I celebrate evening mass over at the cathedral. We have adoration now also on campus every day. So it's really just beautiful.
That's amazing. I know when I used to live closer to NC State, I would love going to the evening mass at the cathedral on Sundays. So tell me, the students went back to school in mid-August, I believe it was. Did you guys have any exciting new events to start the year?
There was a whole welcome week that I just kind of watched. The students themselves organized just a series of things that were just spectacular. They painted a tunnel, which is a common thing, but with mass times and Jesus loves you or something, different things. They had games, they had picnics, they had, it was just a real joy-filled week. And many new students that are incoming freshmen, transfer students, were just introduced to a very welcoming community. It was beautiful.
And how many students are involved in this ministry?
Well, we went from about, I think, around 400 at the start in our group chat to now I think it's like 500. I think close to 500. I think in the last weeks, many students were introduced and wanting to find out more and starting to get involved.
That's incredible.
I wouldn't say I wouldn't say 500 are really actively involved, but hey, at least they're getting a chat.
But that's there are 500 some odd students who are Catholic and they're acknowledging their faith at this point in their life. So that's amazing. I went to Meredith College, which is right down the street, and I was president of our very small Catholic Angels group there, and there were only like 3 of us in the group at one point. So it warms my heart to see such a larger ministry, especially between, 18 to probably 22, 23-year-old students. So tell our listeners a little bit about how you got into that ministry maybe where were you before that?
I was parachuted in unexpectedly. The bishop the bishop and my superior, Father Sean, just asked if I could come in and fill in, and here I am. It was kind of unforeseen for me too, and it's just been an exciting adventure. Before this, I was a vocation director based in Chicago, but I ended up traveling many of the states, the northern states, and then out to the West Coast, California, and I was on the road a lot, in a different bed every couple of days, it seemed, but now it's much more stable.
That's great. And when did you start at NC State?
In middle of September of last year. So I've been here 1 year.
So about a year. So you're not from Chicago originally?
My family, I come from a gypsy family. We ended up in Mishawaka, Indiana, right by South Bend, but we lived in different places. So I'm not from Chicago, no, but I was in our community house there. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your childhood then, growing up.
My childhood, I'm from a big clan. I've got 8 sisters. Well, my baby sister's up in heaven. So I have 7 living sisters and my 2 brothers. And I was born in California. We lived in a few states growing up. I think I lived in about 10 or 12 homes before we'd always get run out of town, my family. We're a big Catholic family. And very close to this day, very, very close. A blessed family. I've been spoiled, I have to tell you.
That's amazing. So how many kids in general? Is that all 11?
There were 11 kids, yeah. Well, 10 now. I count my baby sister as number 1.
Of course. Yeah. So, wow, a huge family. Mm-hmm. And your parents had you all Catholic, very religious from an early age?
We always went to Mass, never missed Mass, and went to Catholic schools my whole life. And but really, my parents had a profound experience of the Lord. They got involved in the charismatic renewal back when I was in maybe 5th grade, 6th grade, and that really sparked a whole adventure in the whole family's life. So, yeah.
Can you expand on that?
Well, my dad had been working for the government and had other jobs, and then just felt that he was being moved around too much. So we were living in California at that time in the Bay Area by San Francisco. They got involved in a Catholic charismatic group in San Francisco. Then the group felt inspired called by the Lord to move the whole group out to South Bend, Indiana, to Notre Dame, where they had a big charismatic community there, ecumenical. My father became a leader in that group, actually. And so we, as I said, a gypsy family, we packed our bags and moved out to Indiana, settled down there. So a religious family, we're very ordinary. I wouldn't... anybody that knew us growing up, us kids, we were pretty ordinary. But my parents really tried to instill some deep virtues and convictions, and yeah.
But you still had kind of that moral compass always.
Yes, yep. Really, God was working, and I'm ever thankful. And again, my parents were wonderful. Yeah, my dad passed away many, many, many years ago, but he was a great man.
So when you were a young boy, you had moved to Indiana. Did you know, I want to be a priest?
No, I didn't really seriously start thinking of the priesthood or considering the priesthood until I was entering my senior year in college. It was kind of a slow development.
So what were you planning to do before you thought of that?
I wanted to have a big family and have a homestead, just raise animals and live in the country, and yeah. I also thought of being a vet. I thought of driving a truck. I thought of all kinds of little things. Yeah, simple life.
Can you walk our listeners through the thought process you had? So you're in your senior year of college and you have this epiphany.
Well, yes. Going into my senior year in college, I just was unsure what I was going to be doing, and I was quite unsettled. Wanted to do what was best, didn't have a clue. And my father told me, John, just go to the church, sit down, shut up, and listen. So
shut up and listen.
Yep. And it was a kind of a slow thing, but I just felt I wanted to help others as much as I could. I felt I wanted to, particularly to focus on the youth. And I thought they need Jesus. And I thought, hey, that's what a priest does. And I always respected priests, but I just never... I don't know, it just didn't click until that point. And then I began to discern that and visited a couple of places, and it just got kind of clarified over time. Yeah.
So what was the reaction of your family, your friends, when you wanted to go down that path?
My family deeply supported. It's a longer story. I finally... started to step out on that direction. My father, 3 days before I graduated from college, I met the priests. I discerned, I'm a religious, a legionary of Christ. The fathers visited the campus. I met them, I felt very attracted. Well, that was a Thursday. The next day, my dad was told he had cancer.
Oh, my goodness.
The next day, he told me, and then on the next day, I graduated from college. So everything transpired very fast. we thought my dad had a long time to live, but my father, being a leader in that community, was asked to found a group out in Hawaii. So I discerned, and we all thought Dad was going to pull out of it and do okay. So the family moved to Hawaii. I entered the seminary back in Connecticut. We had been living in Indiana. And about 6 weeks into my start in the seminary, I got a phone call from one of my older sisters. She's a doctor. She said I had to go home right away because Dad was dying. So they didn't know if he'd make it through the night. So I had to. So anyhow, how did my family support and accept? Well, had they not, I wouldn't be here. I got to the hospital. I was very insecure, very scared, and I love my family deeply. I asked my dad what I should do. I asked him 3 times. Dad, what should I do? Should I go home? He didn't answer. Should I go to the seminary? He didn't answer. I asked the question 3 times. And then the 3rd time I just said, Dad, should we think about it? He just nodded his head. So then the next morning I got to Mass, came back, and my sister said, what are you going to do? Because she'd been there that night with me and Dad. And I said, I'm going to the seminary. I can't say how that it just came out. And then she said to my dad, John's going to the seminary. And my dad just nodded his head. Later I told my mother, hey, Mom, I'm thinking about going back to the seminary. Do you need help? I was the oldest boy. I have 3 older sisters. Mm-hmm. And I felt concerned I want to take care of my family. Well, anyhow, Mom just said, you might take this in a funny way, but I said, Mom, I'm thinking about going home. I'm going back to the seminary, but do you need help? And Mom said, John, if I needed help, you would be the last I would ask. Meaning, I think she meant, she was happy for me, but, you could also look at it a different way. And the family supported. But in terms now of the family and friends, family supported. It was very hard for the whole family, I'm sure, just all those changes. Family moved back to Indiana.
From Hawaii.
From Hawaii.
Wow,
So I wasn't there.
That's a big move.
Yeah, they were in Indiana. And Hawaii is 2 months.
Yeah.
Back to Indiana. But friends legitimately, understandably, probably questioned what was I doing. Why wasn't I?
These weren't religious friends that you had?
Even religious friends,
okay.
meaning, hey, your family's going through a very difficult time right now. You're the oldest boy. You just graduated from college. What about your mom? What about your brothers and sisters? And helping them get settled. They never. I just suspect that was on their minds and hearts, but yet they supported, and never questioned that. And again, my family was just, God bless them, and went through. So anyhow, that's a little bit of the story. It was a lot longer. But
thank you so much for sharing a lot of that. That's such an emotional decision in general to think, hey, I'm going to embark on this journey, but then with you being the oldest boy in your family, you had this sense of responsibility that you didn't want to feel like you abandoned them. So that's incredible, though, that through all of that, you still, maybe hesitantly decided to go back to seminary. And from then on, how long did it take you to go through seminary?
We Legionaries of Christ are slow learners. I was in the seminary 12 years.
Wow.
So, yeah. And that was kind of typical.
So 12 years after college, so that
Correct.
puts you in your early
I was ordained at 35.
Okay. So you go through all of that, but what's interesting, and as you were talking about, being in that period, senior in college, it's interesting though now how you are ministering to a lot of kids in that age group. I mean, how in ways have you using that experience from your past self and kind of use that today?
I've been in their shoes.
Yeah.
And I think, and also just in their shoes as coming from a big family, and also having to move around, and also the unsettledness of moving into a new place, and also the questions that come up, and the uncertainties, and the fears, and the questions, and then even the question, hey, can I do this? Is what they feel I've lived. And so, I may not be the most articulate guy, but at least I understand, and I can have a certain compassion and understand and give them some advice. Yeah, absolutely. And it's a growing experience for me too.
Yeah, I know, thinking about the person I was when I was coming out of college, 21, 22 years old, and you have this sense of imposter syndrome, I think. There's a constant comparison to where everyone else is your age, where you're all off in different directions. So I'm sure that even becoming a priest, I'm sure you still had those kinds of convictions. Can you talk a little bit about your time when you were preparing to become a priest and maybe some challenges that you faced?
So I returned to the seminary and formally became a novice. Began took the first step about 2 weeks after I got back home after my dad's funeral. Mm-hmm. Maybe 3 weeks. The night I received the uniform, the cassock, and had just finished the ceremony, I went back to my bed, and I just had this sudden feeling as though, what did you just get yourself into? Honestly. But it was just kind of that feeling like this is a big adventure, and what am I doing? But there was peace. There, after the things settled down, you just dove into it, and I loved every step of the way. Every stage of training and formation for a religious life, we had different stages: novitiate, classical humanities, philosophy, internship, theology. At each stage, there was a joy and just this a sense that this is where I belong. This is my home, and it wasn't that I lost my family. I am ever close to my mom, my brothers, my sisters, everybody. My dad, I think of him every day. Mm-hmm. But it was as though the family just got bigger. And then as I would meet people, it just got bigger and bigger. So it was just a beautiful gift. In terms of challenges, very honestly, say 6 months before I was ordained a priest, this is after being in the seminary for 11 years. Mm-hmm. I had this feeling, this is where I want to be. This is where I feel I belong. But I don't know if this is for me. I could see my superiors either telling me, John, we know you love it, but this really it's not for you. Or yes, John, you'll be ordained a priest. Meaning it was kind of like 50-50. Mm-hmm. Meaning I know myself. I know the gift, and nobody. You ask any priest, nobody could ever feel as though he's worthy or prepared or anything. And the beautiful truth is, so I was, ordained. About a month, 3 weeks after ordination, a priest gave a retreat I was at. And he spoke of St. John Paul II's book, Gift and Mystery. There's a paragraph 1 of page 1 of that book of Gift and Mystery. He said, every day the priest is aware of his own inadequacy. And it really resonated then and to this day, meaning the priest went on to explain in the retreat that, just very simply, that the Pope didn't use the word unworthy or unprepared. He said inadequate, meaning if you're unworthy, okay, go to confession, get your act cleaned up in a little bit of time, okay, you might be more worthy. Unprepared, okay, study a little bit more, give it a little bit more time, and you'll be a little bit prepared. He used the word inadequate, and as though there's nothing you can do about it. It's all a gift. There was an invitation, a gift that nobody deserves, and this is, you don't have to do it either. You're free, and you'll be happy, yes, doing something else. You could be a father of a family, you could have a beautiful job, and would you like to do this? And this is an invitation, and okay, but I'm not worthy of it.
That's incredible. So he said every day a priest is aware of his inadequacy.
Yes.
Wow. Well, and before we continue on that, I just want to take a second to remind our listeners that we are sitting down and chatting with Father John Curran from NC State, and he's been talking about his journey through seminary. So you say this quote about inadequacy, and my mind wants to wonder, how can this be related to young adults? How can everyday Catholics be aware of their inadequacy?
Well, I think any young man or woman in college, as he or she is preparing to, they're considering even entering into married life. Mm-hmm. And they can think of as though they're going to be given the responsibility of bringing this child into this world. And this child is a child of God. And this child is utterly dependent upon them. And if you ask any newlywed or new parents, they just see that baby and they feel a total inadequacy. Like what do I do?
You're not ready.
Yeah. And it's more than they've been preparing. And they've done the best they can to prepare, but then suddenly, when the reality comes, it's overwhelming, and so then they have to trust day by day and just love, one day at a time. Just love the best you can and learn as you go. Well, that would be in terms of the young students as they're discerning a vocation to married life. It could be the same question of. I feel invited. I have this opportunity to serve in a certain way, maybe in my job, in my position, but even to be a witness, to be an apostle, to bear witness in my field, whatever that is. But I don't know theology. I don't know apologetics. I haven't, I'm a beginner. Yet there's this sense that God is inviting them to bear witness, despite their own humanity, their own frailty. Hey, it's like St. Paul, So anyhow, I think it's true for everybody.
Yeah, and I think that we all forget sometimes. Like we're constantly leaning on the world or ourselves. Like they say, lean not on your own understanding, and I fall into that trap all the time. So that's such a good reminder. I'm really going to remember that inadequacy piece. So you were talking about the challenges going through seminary. So when you became a priest, what were some things that you weren't expecting or great things that you enjoyed about being a priest?
Every day, in a certain sense, is an adventure. That as I'm sure for a married couple raising a family, it's just an adventure that you can't really foresee everything, and you see the hand of God at work, and you see how you didn't plan, and you find yourself in a situation, and how God is blessing you with this experience, but also using you in ways that you would never have dreamt, and you didn't think you could do, but you're just blown away. Last night or 2 nights ago, I was leaving the university. We had just had Mass. I was putting away the items from Mass in a storage room. Mm-hmm. I was walking out, and a young man kind of called me from behind my back. Hey, Father, said, I'm gonna need confession. We're gonna need to talk. I looked back, and then the guy, he said, I've been seeing you having Mass with all the students. I've been seeing the students there in this room, in the Student Union building, Tally Student Union on campus. Been seeing you in Mass, and it just, something struck me. And then he said, I'll be coming. It was just beautiful how I was just walking down the hall. I didn't expect this, and it was how you see God doing miracles all the time. That was a silly example from yesterday or day before.
No, not silly at all. But I think
it was yesterday.
Also,
actually, it was yesterday.
Yeah, but recognizing like those small moments as an opportunity that God places in our path. And I mean, you cross paths with so many different students that are probably going through a lot of different things right now. And you said you were a vocational director
for 11 years, and before that I was working in our minor seminary program. I was the rector and vice rector.
So could you explain what a vocational director is?
Vocation director is one that is just there to help men and women as they're considering a calling to the religious life, priesthood, consecrated life. And you might just call them a resource to answer questions, to support, and then to help guide respecting their freedom, their how the Lord is working in their lives, but just to be an instrument of to bring a little clarity as they go along, help them along their steps. So I did that for 11 straight years. I truly loved it. I really did.
And is that part of a parish, or is that part of like a seminary program?
It'd be more part of the seminary program, and then and I would go back to the seminary often for retreats or accompanying guys as they were visiting, and then visiting them in their homes, visiting them at coffee shops, whatever, and just or doing little retreats in different places. So yes.
Wow. Do you have any cool examples of seeing someone go through that process to say yes?
Every single guy has blown me away.
Wow. In 11 years?
Yes. Because you ask any priest, you ask any sister, any consecrated soul, we know what they go through. We know the questions, the fears, the uncertainties. And to see them taking it, and you know what the beautiful, good possibilities that they have, and they would do well in them. And then you see a step of faith and love where they just say, yeah, this is beautiful. I could do this, and I could do this, and I could do this, but I really want to do this. And yet I'm not quite sure, but I think that I should try. And the only way I'm going to know is by trying it, by taking a step and seeing over time. But to see them take that step in faith, letting go of other good, wholesome possibilities, beautiful ones, but because they have these faith-filled, magnanimous hearts. I see that in every person. I mean, honestly, it's not you see individuals that are truly generous with and faith-filled, and it's stunning. And so every single one has a story. That's why it's beautiful what you do is interviewing different individuals, and this is for priests and religious. You talk to a dad, you talk to a mom, you talk to anyone, a single person that is totally dedicated in their vocation as a nurse or any field. A faith-filled man or woman has a story that is moving. And so I have come across many stories, beautiful stories.
I feel like you could write a book on some of these.
Yeah, if I just had a good memory.
That's incredible. No, well, I didn't really know much about a vocation director, but it's cool because it sounds like you're really there, like you said, as a resource, as a support. So just for our listeners, in case they're not as familiar with that, what does a process like that look like? How might they seek out something like that?
Often it begins with a certain question, interest, in a sense of I want to draw closer to Jesus. Mm-hmm. I want to draw closer to the Lord. I want to serve Him and serve others. I want to grow in love. And then the man, the woman in consecrated life just feels a certain, well, maybe this isn't a possibility. I could give my whole life could be dedicated to serving the Lord and others in this way. So then they would maybe begin by talking with a few that are in that particular vocation. Some that may have considered it and didn't go on, but they could also shed light on just that restlessness that's on the inside. And then often it's today it's beautiful that with the internet you can read about places, but then to take a trip, visit, and start to see things and the Lord will do it over time. There's no rush. God keeps the clock. It's the Lord calls and prepares the soul, prepares the person when he or she is ready, and it gets clearer over time. And the beautiful thing is, and this is what happened, say, even when just before I was ordained and I had that question, the beautiful thing is, it's not just that man or that woman that is making the decision. Jesus is. And so I felt, hey, if they call me up to be a priest, they know what they're getting. And then, I'm a kind of an open book, so they know I'm not perfect, and they know what they're getting. So. Wow. So there's a confirmation, too, over time. So nobody is expected to be perfect. That can be a reservation that that any young person can have. I'm just not there yet. Hey, well, nobody is. I'm not, and I've been in it for a while. But we're growing, and it's clarified over time. You grow over time.
So when you were going through your journey, did you have any mentors or people that really helped you through when you were discerning?
Yes. First off, growing up as a young man, my dad. And I had in high school, there was a lot of tension with my father because he was, yes, a great man, also pretty demanding. And there was that tension, and it was a little tough, very tough. That was reconciled, that was healed. And my dad was a great man. But then, so I would talk with him, and in college he became the man I respected and loved more than anybody. So he gave me certain advice. I entered the seminary, and there were specific individuals, priests, that really were there for me, and that to this day I'm tremendously indebted to. One of them passed away just this past August, and I owe a lot to him. So several, and those are just ones that come up to mind. But I also am ever aware that there's been a whole innumerable people, men and women. It was a woman, a professor at the university, that first really challenged me and kept after me to consider the priestly vocation. When I was, she was really there, and in a respectful way, but very clear. So, there's just individuals that have, yes, been wonderful for me.
But it's interesting to think how, God probably put it on her heart that, I need to keep pressing for, I don't know what the reason may be, but that is kind of in the background.
This particular professor said, I don't think you've examined enough. I don't think. Okay. Well,
yeah.
She was good.
Well, and something I think just knowing about, how a lot of these, I guess the kids in college now are a lot of the Gen Z kids, which is weird for me to think about because I feel like I'm getting old when I say that out loud. I feel like sometimes too, it's hard for a lot of college students or young adults to want to take advice from more authority figures or people that have had more life experience, and they want to take things into their own hands. So what advice do you have for a lot of our college students? And this could be a message that you give to your students that you work with all the time. It can be with people who are out of college and in that discerning phase.
Well, I think first off, I get it. I was in their shoes. I did the same thing.
Yeah.
And yet, if they're able to see that man or woman has been around and is kind of like a library book.
Yeah.
There's a lot of wisdom in that library, and it's there for them. But they have to just be willing to go and reach out for it, and it's just there to help. So, and the older person, me and everybody else, just have to be very respectful as well, not to impose, not to push, and let others grow and in time, in God's path. But to respect. I am every day even more impressed and thankful for the elderly. I admire, because now I'm starting to understand, wow, they've been through a lot, and look at them today. And also look at them, how they are able to accept the challenges of old age, the health issues and all, and letting go of friends and family members that die, and you see them there. For me, they're pillars. So my advice to the young people is be able to respect and just learn, watch, and you'll marvel. That's kind of a vague way of answering your question.
No, that's perfect. And I think a lot of people need that reminder. I for one respect my elders so much. I had some mentors when I was in college, and I just respected their life experience so much, and I would feel bad when I saw some of my peers not taking them as seriously or not wanting to learn more about them and their journeys. So I really appreciate you explaining some of that. So we are starting to wrap up on time, but I wanted to ask if you would like to close us in a prayer.
Before I do, it just flashed into my mind what a football player does when he's interviewed on TV. He said, "Today's my parents' anniversary." So my dad died 38 years ago, but my mother, she probably won't even hear this interview. But I just want to say I love my mother, I love my family, and thanks, Mom. So
beautiful. Thanks, Mom.
Okay, so now we close with a prayer?
Yes.
Well, dear Lord, we love you. And we thank you for your love for us. Help us to be more aware of the depths of your love, the depths of your mercy. Help us to be men and women of faith and never to be afraid, because you are close and you are taking care of us. And help us to be witnesses in this world, men and women of hope. And amidst all the challenges that are out there, but help us to be men and women that are able to point to the good, point to the beautiful, point to what's just truly wonderful, and to know that you're in charge. Just thank you for this day, and please bless anyone that's listening to these interviews, and bless this ministry. Amen.
Amen. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. Well, thank you so much, Father John. That is our episode for Meet the Priest today. Thank you for visiting with us and having this beautiful conversation and sharing your story. We loved having you. To our listeners, if you missed any part of our program, you can play our past shows by going to Catholic540am.org and click on local programs. You can also listen to our show and podcast on the Divine Mercy Radio app, which is available on your Apple phone, Google Play. Just search Divine Mercy Radio NC. And guess what, guys? It's free. So make sure you download that, and you could listen from anywhere, not just in the car. The Executive Director of Catholic 540 AM Divine Mercy Radio is Cecilia Flannery. Our Director of Programming is Peter K. O'Connell. The coordinating producer for Meet the Priest is Tina Dawson. Our engineer is Keith Flannery. I'm Nicole Jungles. Thanks for listening. May God bless, and don't forget to say your rosary.